My name is Kristen Kelly. I'm an estate planning and probate attorney, and I have been in this field for 2 years now.
Wonderful. And how did you first become interested in your career?
So I actually went to law school thinking that I wanted to do medical malpractice defense, but I worked with a judge who had a civil, criminal, and probate docket, and I had thought homicide, so murder trials would be really fun and exciting. And they are not. Opening and closings are very fun, like what you see on TV, but the rest of it's boring for 3 weeks, whereas probate is a circus from start to finish. And I am from a big family, watched a big family tearing each other apart, fighting over mom's estate, and it made me feel like good preventative measures could have prevented all of that. And that's really how I ended up not only being a lawyer, but focusing on what I focus on. So to be a lawyer, you have to have a bachelor's degree, but it can be in anything. Mine is business management. And then I went to law school, which is 3 years to get your Juris Doctorate. And then after that, you have an ethics test called the MPRE you have to take, which is pretty easy. And then you've got the bar, which is 2 days that are not so easy in order to become licensed in whatever state that you work in. Type A people, so they work very well being a lawyer. There's a lot of reading and writing involved, especially in litigation, which you would think there isn't because you're speaking, but most of the work in litigation is done behind a computer. However, I don't litigate personally, so for what I do, a lot of being able to talk to people is really important. So people who are friendly and enthusiastic and charismatic would work very well, probably in any area of the law. So that's the funny thing about being an attorney is a lot of people think every attorney makes 6 figures plus starting out, and that's not true. I would say for the most part, the average is probably around 60 to 65,000 starting off. However, there's a lot of room for growth to double or even triple that pretty quickly, depending on, again, what area of law you practice, whether it's private sector or public. So nonprofits don't normally pay as much. Private sector typically does. A lot of people hang their own shield and, start working as attorneys for themselves because sometimes you can make more money that way. So my firm is pretty unusual in that we are not overworked. Usually we work about 50 to 55 hours a week. Doing estate planning, that's about 25% of time sitting at a desk actually doing the drafting, and most of the rest of that time is actually client contact. So going over clients' needs, running them through things, answering questions, going over documents we've drafted, and then having family meetings. So it's very, very client contact heavy, more than many other areas of law. Our personal firm, we've got 2 different branches, and we all get along really well because we have a very collaborative environment, very open door, lots of training involved for everybody. So everybody here gets a lot of mentorship, and we train everybody to be the best estate planning attorneys they can be. So most days would have about 3 to 4 client meetings, and with estate planning, sometimes the first meeting is people coming in, getting to know them, what's going on in their life that makes them decide now is a good time for an estate plan. I like to walk everybody through an estate planning 101 because for most people, they've never talked about getting a will or a power of attorney done or a trust. They don't know what those documents are and what they do. So part of my job is just educating people. Other meetings that we might have would be the next meeting would be a planning meeting where we're going over power people, so who people want acting for them in different capacities. We walk people through what we call the zombie apocalypse. So people will say, oh, I want my kids to get everything when I pass. But we have to plan for what if one of your kids passes first, which isn't always fun, but it's an important part of what my job is. I do run people through signing meetings. Sometimes those are the meetings that are involved. Sometimes it's family meetings where I've done a plan for mom and dad and their kids are coming in if they're adults, not like minors, but adult children will come in to understand what we've done. And really that's probably 2/3 of my day. And then I've got a little bit of time to do any follow-up work, take notes on my different clients' estate plans, and actually get the drafting done for them. I'll start with challenges first. I deal with death all day, every day. I am helping people plan for death. On probate side, somebody's already passed away, and that can be hard. It takes a toll on you. I have clients that I know and did their estate plan, and I know that they've passed, and the surviving spouse or one of the kids comes to my office afterwards just to be reminded about what they're supposed to do. We set up plans so they don't need to hire us, but the family wants that reassurance, and it's very hard to work with somebody when you know the person who's passed. So that's tricky. Another challenge is I work with people who are terminal. So not all of my clients are people who are just saying, hey, I want to make sure things go to my kids, I'm healthy, everything's fine. I've got clients where I'm doing a plan for them emergently because they might pass away in a matter of days. I had one client who died in the middle of the estate planning process, and now I have to do the probate for her, which is extra difficult because it was somebody that I had talked to, and now dealing with the family on that level can be hard and a struggle. One other challenge that I'll mention I don't know that it's unique to estate planning and probate law, but in probate cases, I will only represent what's called the personal representative. It used to be called the executor. The TV and movies still call it that, so that's what most people know it as. But I only represent that person to help them through probate. And sometimes the beneficiaries are other people who want to call the office and harass us. Where's my money? Where's my money? And it can be a little bit of a struggle when I'm thinking in my head, you lost somebody that you on paper should have loved. It's a mom or a dad or a grandpa, and all you care about is the money. So that can be a different struggle, and I have to remind myself, everyone deals with grief differently. Kind of the flip side to the benefits of my job is I feel like what I do is give people peace of mind. At some point in the process, the first, second, third, or fourth meeting, every client says some version of, I feel better now, I feel at peace, I know my kids are taken care of, and that's huge for me. And pre-COVID, my clients and I would hug after, by the time we were done, every client, even the clients who seemed grumpy at first, are hugging me. And that's a great feeling to be able to help people and help their families and let the families know what's going on, that I feel grateful to be able to have that as part of my job. Yes, so most law careers, or many law careers I should say, are not very compatible with family life because they are crazy billable hour times. Billable hours are times where you can actually run the clock and bill a client for something. And while you might work 40 hours, most of that 40 hours you can't actually bill. So there's an extreme requirement. Most estate planning attorneys have very high quality of life and great work-life balance because for the most part, I never run a clock. So in estate planning, I tell people this is the flat fee price up front. So if they don't like it, they just don't pay it. And I don't have to run the clock. So I get to really delve into how do I best help the client, help answer any questions they have without having to worry about that time. And for me, it allows me to have a better balance, and I control my calendar, and I think most estate planning attorneys do. So if my kid has a soccer game and I need to leave early, I can. If I have a dentist appointment in the middle of the day, I can pop out and go do that. I would not say that's true of every area of law, but at least for me and where I work, it's very true. So I really love not only the clients that I get to work with, but the people I work with. I think at the end of the day, the people you work with make or break your job, and I'm privileged to work with some of the best in the field, and my clients are the best clients out there. I love them all. I have gone to some clients' house for dinner or drinks, and most of my clients, if they invited me over, I would go and I would have them at my house, and that's a great setting to be able to work with such great people. So with estate planning, there are a lot of laws that have not changed since we came over from England, right? So there's a lot of common law practices we still adhere to. So I would say there's a lot of things that won't be changing, but I know one of the biggest things with estate planning law that I see right now that's trying to be worked on is attorneys kill a lot of trees because we have to print everything. And something that's being worked on right now is there are committees formed to try to figure out, is there a way to do this electronically, especially with the shift where everybody else's job is moving electronically, but ours is hard to for any number of reasons. We need to know that you typed your will, leaving things the way you wanted, and you signed it and you executed it, not me typing myself in there and then we just think that it was you. So that's a struggle that I think at some point will be covered, but given what we do and the special requirements, like you have to sign in front of a notary and you have to have a couple of witnesses, they make it a struggle to actually evolve, but it's something we're actively working on now. So my biggest piece of advice to anybody who doesn't already have a college degree that's contemplating being an attorney is get a degree in something else that interests you. Don't get a degree in political science or philosophy, not because they're not worthwhile majors, but because they're hard to find a job using that degree if you don't continue on. And again, to get into law school, you can have any degree. So if you're kind of interested in nursing, get your BSN and then you can go to law school if you want, but if you don't, you have something else to fall back on. For people who are farther along and really looking at law school, they should know law school is a lot of work. It is very stressful for the most part. You're not allowed to work because it's so much. I mean, law school becomes a full-time job, so knowing what you're getting yourself into. For me personally, that's what I would have liked to have known going into it, was exactly how much I had bitten off beforehand. And for me, it was good to know at the end that it was worthwhile and the right decision.